न भूमिर्न तोयं न तेजो न वायुः न खं नेन्द्रियं वा न तेषां समूहः अनैकान्तिकत्वात् सुषुप्त्येकसिद्धः तदेको वशिष्ठः शिवः केवलोऽहम् तदेको वशिष्ठः शिवः केवलोऽहम्।
नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः हरिः ओम्। उपासकानां यदुपासनीयम् उपात्तवासं वटशाखिमूले तद्धाम दाक्षिण्यजुषा स्वमूर्त्या जागर्तु चित्ते मम बोधरूपम् अद्राक्षम् अक्षीणदयानिधानम् आचार्यमाद्यं वटमूलभागे मौनेन मन्दस्मितभूषितेन महर्षिलोकस्य तमोनुदन्तं विद्राविताशेषतमोगणेन मुद्राविशेषेण मुहुर्मुनीनां निरस्य मायां दयया विधत्ते देवो महान् तत्त्वमसीति बोधम् ममाद्य देवो वटमूलवासी कृपाविशेषात् कृतसन्निधानः ओङ्काररूपाम् उपदिश्य विद्याम् आविद्यगध्वान्तमपाकरोतु श्रुत्यर्थगोचरं वन्दे वाच्यार्थानामगोचरं लक्ष्यार्थवपुषं वन्दे शङ्करं देशिकं गुरुं भवयेव भवानिति मे नितरां समजायत चेतसि कौतुकितां मम वारय मोहमहाजलधिं भव शङ्करदेशिकमे शरणम्। अपार सच्चित्सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकमहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मनां सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम्। आशैलादुदयात् तथास्तगिरितः भास्वद्यशो रश्मिभिः व्याप्तं विश्वम् अनन्धकारमभवद्यस्य स्म शिष्यैरिदम् आराज्ञानगभस्तिभिः प्रतिहतः चन्द्रायते भास्करः तस्मै शङ्करभानवे तनुमनो वाग्भिर्नमस्यात् सदा यत्स्वप्रकाशमखिलात्मकमासुषुप्तेः एकात्मनाहम् अहमित्यवभाति नित्यं बुद्धेः समस्तविकृतेरविकारिबोद्धृ यद्ब्रह्म तत्त्वमसि केवलबोधमात्रम्। बड़ी श्लोകം എടുത്ത് അതിൽ ചേർത്ത് വെച്ചുക്കോ. ഇതില്ല ഇല്ല അതിലെ ഇത് സർവവേദാന്ത സിദ്ധാന്ത സാരസംഗ്രഹം. So we are as the Swadhyaya Yajna of Chaturmasya Kalam. Every day we are having this Satsanga. Now for last almost 10 days our intention was to start Vivek Chudamani, but we started telling the story of Sankaracharya. So that is what we are continuing now. Although it is story, it is not story, because you cannot tell the story of Sankaracharya or Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi without the teaching, the knowledge. So it comes with both story and the teaching and the stotras and everything. As yesterday we saw that Bhagavad Pada started his mission. Generally they call it as Digvijaya. Wherever he goes, there is a victory of truth. See, Mahabharatam is called Jayam. Tato Jayam Udirayet. Jayam means victory of Bhagavan. In our life, generally, it is victory of our ignorance. Our Jayam of our own ignorance, hence trouble. When Bhagavan has his Jayam in our life will be very peaceful, happy, contented. If we have Bhagavan in our heart, it will be Santosha. Nitya Utsavam Bhavatyesham, Nitya Shrihi, Nitya Mangalam. Esham Hridisto Bhagavan Mangalayatano Harihi. Every day is a celebration. Nitya Utsavam. Nitya Shrihi. Every day is abundance. Nitya Mangalam. Every day is auspicious. When Bhagavan is there in your heart. That is the secret. So, when our life is turned towards Bhagavan, everything becomes Mangala. There is a story that Tirunavakarasar, who is very commonly known as Upper Swamigal, day before yesterday, we spoke about this conflict between Jainism, Buddhism and the Vedic religion, all these things. And when religion is religion, no problem. When religion and spirituality remains as religion, spirituality, no problem. But when it becomes politics, without any religious consideration, the kings convert people with force. Then problem comes. So that was happening in Tamil Nadu. Now we don't have clear history about it. But all the songs of that Shaivite Bhaktas, they reveal that. So there, in the Madurai was full of Jain communities. It was ruled by a king who was a Jain. So for having a debate, Tirunavakarasar was invited there, Jnanasambandar was invited there. So Tirunavakarasar, a very old person, very great saint, he said, "You are a small child, you should not go now." He said, No. This is our mission to spread Shiva Bhakti, so I am going. He said, time is not auspicious, so you should not go. He said, all time is auspicious. If Shiva is in my heart, every day is auspicious, every moment is auspicious, every star is auspicious when Shiva is sitting in my heart. And how is Shiva sitting in my heart? He is sitting very peculiar form. It is not with Trishulam. He is not sitting there in the Rishabha. He is sitting there with Veena. Veena Vadana. So he says, Shiva is sitting in my heart playing Veena. Adena Tevaram? Veyuru Toji Pangan Vidam Undakantan Mihanalla Veenai Tadavi. He is the one who has swallowed poison, digested poison. See, that is what we should see. Shiva is giving us the picture of a jnani who can digest poison. Life will very freely supply you with poison. Some poisonous experience will come in life. The power of jnana is that it should help you to digest that, assimilate that. That Shiva is revealing, Vidamunda Kanthan, Mihanalla Veenai Tadavi, Masaru Tingal Gangai Mudimel Aninda Adanal, Udame Pugunda Adanal. He is wearing the moon, which is very cool, and Ganga, that is also very cool. See, you should keep your head very cool. With all this jnanam, what will happen? Antashītalata cha indoho. The inner mind is so cool. That is the result, the fruit of true jnanam and true meditation. Antashītalata cha indoho ivodeti vicharinaha. So Shiva is having the moon and Ganga on his head. Then what? Nyayar, Tingal, Shevvai, Budan, Vyayam, Velli, Shani, Pambu, Irandumudane, Asharu, Nalla Nalla, Avai, Nalla Nalla, Adiyaravarku Mihave. All the days, all the planets are all auspicious, especially for a devotee. If he is a devotee, he is chanting the Panchakshara, for him it is all good, auspicious. So, such dhairyam, such courage, such fearlessness arises from bhakti, from jnana, from spiritual life. Swami Vivekananda says, from every page, every letter, Upanishads are speaking to me, abhihi, fearless. Do not fear. Abhayam. So, that is the sign of a realized soul. Fearlessness is the sign of a realized soul. Namanayum anjom. We do not even fear Yama. So that is the sign of a... Today we will see one story like that. So, yesterday where did we find Sankaracharya? Yes, Sureswaracharya. Sankaracharya started his mission and was moving about and went to Narmada. Narmada is so beautiful. It is a yoga nadi. Ganga is a jnana nadi. Narmada is yoga nadi. It is full of that. Narmada bank is full of yoga samskara. The forest around Narmada, so many monks are there even now. So many sannyasis are there. They all live very austere life. And people go round Narmada. We already spoke about it. Narmada Parikrama. So, Sankaracharya went there and met Sureswaracharya. Mandana Mishra had a debate with him. Go there, speak to him and conquer him. See, sometimes, people used to come to Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi to have a debate. That is what I told that N.R. Krishnamurti Iyer, he wanted to have a debate with Bhagavan. He was a very great scholar, professor. So he came with one of his friends and said, I am going to have an argument with your Maharshi. He has already seen Bhagavan in Virupaksha cave. And Maharshi will not be able to answer my questions. All this nonsense of previous birth and rebirth, all this I am going to shatter. With this he came, and when you enter ashram, the big tree in front, that Ilupai Maram, under that tree he met Bhagavan, I think so. There first he saw Maharshi. Bhagavan was sitting actually in a stool. So his friend also came with him. They did namaskara. After that, he asked Bhagavan, "Can I ask you a question?" Bhagavan did not say anything. You are now in a peculiar state. Spiritually, you have reached such a state. If you die, what will happen? This was his question. And he later on said, I was expecting some answer. Either Maharshi will say, I have no birth. That is the highest answer Bhagavan will give. Or Bhagavan will say, no rebirth. Or about going to higher planes. Everything I was ready to counterattack. So I was prepared with so much knowledge in my head to counterattack. So without answering, Bhagavan was just looking at him silently. Then also, I was thinking he is escaping into his usual silence. So after few minutes, we know, Bhagavan rarely answers, he only will ask questions. So Bhagavan asked him, you said state. Now you are in a state. You said a state. What do you mean by that? Sthiti. நீங்க ஏதோ ஸ்திதின்னு சொன்னீங்களே அப்படின்னா என்ன? What do you mean by that? N.R. Krishnamurti said, I never expected such a counter question first of all. I only expected an answer. But instead of giving an answer, he put a counter question. You said a sthiti. What do you mean by sthiti? Yes, what did I mean by that? If it is about the body, I know it will be burnt here or put in samadhi, buried. That is a simple answer. Nobody can deny. If I am asking about the inner jiva, I am accepting the thing what I want to deny. So what will I say? So what is this jiva? What is this jiva? About what did I ask? Just asking this inwardly, he was contemplating what should I say. And he said, I was just looking inward and questioning what is this about which I asked. And suddenly I looked at Bhagavan's face. There was a triumphant smile. He just smiled. And he said, that look, that Nayana Diksha, and my mind was also introverted and I was inquiring, I am not asking about the body. And what is this I within? What is this I within? And the mind entered that inquiry, deeper inquiry. And for that moment he found that I am not the body. I am not the mind. Completely there was that pure dance of awareness. Yat swaprakasham akhilatmakama sushuptehe ekatmana aham iti avabhati nityam buddhehe samasta vikritehe avikari bodhre yad brahma tattvamasi kevala bodhamatram. This shloka, he says, inwardly I was feeling that, and Maharshi's look also pushed my mind deep inward. The mind entered a kind of meditative state. I could not answer him. He says, instead of this counter question, if a bomb has exploded underneath, I would not have been shocked so much. Because that one question turned me completely inward in the quest of what is this I. And in the conclusion, he says, I came to win, to conquer, but I was vanquished. And in that failure was my victory. See, when you fail with your master, with your guru or Bhagavan, that is your victory. Only when we fail, we will learn. Only then humility will come. The person will become humble. True wisdom will arise from within. So that happened with him. So here Bhagavad Pada came in search of Mandana Mishra and just challenged him for a dialogue. Because he was a mighty scholar, great scholar, and Acharya challenged him for a dialogue, because having a dialogue with a Jivan Mukta, you have a clash with that heart. So when Swami Vivekananda went to West, many were there to have debate with him, argument with him. He was staying in a home where there were a lot of children who loved him so much, and he used to narrate all stories to them from Ramayana, from Bhagavata, everything. So they loved him so much, and the elderly person of that house invited all the Christian priests in the locality to have a dialogue with him. So he was surrounded by so many priests, and they were talking to him the biblical language. And these children, one of them, later on she writes, we were all biting our nails because we didn't want Swami to fail. And Swamiji is sitting there surrounded by all very mighty scholars in Christian theology. And they are talking Christian theology, and they expect him to answer from that standpoint. So we were thinking he is from India. Might be a scholar in the Upanishad or Gita or Bhagavat, Mahabharata or something like that. But how can he answer these Christian theological questions? But half an hour went, then we found that he need not be sympathized. We have to sympathize them all around. Because it is Ishvara's knowledge. It is not human knowledge. So when Ishvara wants the person to do that mission, he supplies. So here also, Bhagavad Pada went there. He is after all only perhaps what might be his age, 20 years old, maximum. And Mandana Mishra should be very elderly, great scholar, very experienced person. And with him he had this dialogue and defeated him and gave him the greatest award for the person who failed. See, in Bhagavata, Krishna and Uddhava, they are having a conversation. Krishna is going to leave the world, going back to Vaikuntha. Uddhava sensed it. He said, Lord, you are going to leave the body. You have to take me also with you. I don't want to live in this world without you. Please take me with you. Saying this, he is weeping. Then Krishna said, Uddhava, I love you so much. You are my dearmost devotee. You know, I don't love Shiva that much. I don't love Brahma that much. I don't love even Lakshmi that much. What to say, I do not love myself that much. That much love I have to you because you are a Bhagavata. You are a Bhakta. So, Tvam cha Bhagavadeshvaham. Na tatame priyatamaha atmayonihi na shankaraha na sankarshanaha naiva shrihi na cha atma yatha bhavan. So, I am going to give you the greatest gift. You will be thinking, what gift? What gift will Bhagavan give to someone whom he loves so much? You know what that gift is? It is sannyasa. He says, you renounce everything and go to Badri. This is the greatest gift. Tvam tu sarvam parityajya sneham svajana bandhushu maya veshya manas samyak samadrik vicharasvagam. Atmajnana. Atmajnana is the greatest gift. I am giving you Atmajnana. With that Atmajnana, renounce everything and go to Badrinath. So here also, when Mandana Mishra was conquered, Bhagavad Pada gave him sannyasa ashrama, chaturtha ashrama, turiya ashrama. His sannyasa is an orderly sannyasa. Krama sannyasa and another is akrama sannyasa. It is akrama sannyasa and krama sannyasa. Krama sannyasa and vyutkramana sannyasa, they say. It is vyutkrama sannyasa. It means brahmacharyat grihi bhavet, grihi bhutva vani bhavet, vani bhutva pravrajet. This is the order. Generally, a person has to come like this. From brahmacharya ashrama, he goes to grihastha ashrama. From grihastha ashrama, he goes to vanaprastha. Sometimes, some period he has shastra jnana, tapasya, everything. Then sannyasa ashrama. This is krama sannyasa. And vyutkrama sannyasa is sometimes like Sankaracharya, like Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. They have that order. They don't go that order. Directly from brahmacharya ashrama, they attain realization and became sannyasis. They renounce everything. So that is Vyutkrama sannyasa. So here, Sureswaracharya's case, it is Krama sannyasa. He had a very good brahmacharya ashrama, shastra jnana, and a great grihastha ashrama. After that, perhaps he has spent so much time in tapasya, in Bhagavad Aradhana, a kind of vanapastha stage also. Then, when the time is ripe, Bhagavan, in Ramana Gita, somebody asked Ramana Bhagavan about sannyasa ashrama. Actually, the 4 ashramas, brahmacharya ashrama, grihastha ashrama, vanapastha ashrama, sannyasa ashrama. So, Bhagavan gives answer to all. But he stops in vanapastha ashrama. He is not speaking about sannyasa ashrama. He says about brahmacharya ashrama, he explains, grihastha ashrama, he explains, vanapastha ashrama, the ashrama of sadhana, tapasya. Then, Kavyakanta Ganapati Muni is asking Bhagavan, what about Turiya ashrama, the 4th ashrama, sannyasa ashrama. Then Bhagavan says, tapasa dagdhapapasya pakvachittasya yoginaha turiyashramaha kale swayameva bhavishyati. By tapasya, when all his sins are being burnt, when the mind is very mature through jnanam, the 4th ashrama naturally happens like a ripe fruit falling from the tree. It is not forced. It naturally happens. That is, when the time comes, the Guru comes there, or Bhagavan comes in some form. That is what happened with Mandana Mishra. Bhagavad Pada went to his house and conquered him. Tamil, there is a beautiful term, Tadithu Aatkollal. அப்படிதானே சொல்கிறோம் நம்ம. ஈஸ்வரன் வந்து நம்மளை பிடிச்சி வெளியில் கொண்டு வர. தடுத்து ஆட்கொள். So Bhagavan comes into their life and makes them, forces them to renounce. So that is what happened with Sureswaracharya. So but very beautifully it was handled, because his wife Ubaya Bharati was also a mighty scholar. She was also a jnani. So she was like a deity. Bhagavad Pada absorbed her into the Sangha. So thus they started moving from place to place, and Sankaracharya, Bhagavad Pada and Sureshwara had a conversation. After giving the ashrama svikara, Acharya said, O Sureshwara, you are not the body, nor the senses, nor the mind. Today we sung that. Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jihve nacha ghrana netre nacha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayuhu chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. I am not the mind, I am not the senses, I am that Shuddha Chaitanya, Shiva, pure consciousness. So, you deny everything, the body, mind, everything, then what remains? Only a shunyata. That is what you will feel in the beginning. Oh, when I deny everything, nothing is there. Even about deep sleep, people say blankness. Nothing. In deep sleep, it is blank. But is it blank? If it is blankness, nobody will be interested to sleep. But we want to sleep. We cherish that state. Because it is not blankness. It is a deep fulfillment is there. Hence, if somebody wakes you up from deep sleep, you say, oh, great disturbance. I want to go back. And what did you gain there? Nothing. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I didn't touch anybody. I didn't eat anything. I thought was not there. But something strange, strangely fulfilling was there. Even though the ego was not there, fulfillment was there. So it is not shunyata. Then what is this? What is that is therein? It is existence alone. It is satta. Asthita matram vastu. And what is that satta? Who is the I who experiences the existence? Is the experiencer different from the existence? Or is experience itself existence? Anubhava astitvam aham. Another Shlokam. Bhagavanoda. Sattvabhasika chitkvavetara sattayahi chit chittayahi aham. Sattvabhasika chitkvavetara. There is another illumining light for existence. Existence illumines itself by its own effulgence. When we sit in a dark room, I know I am. And that I am shines by its own light. So, Sattvabhasika Chitkvavetara Sattayahi Chit. Sat itself is Chit and Chit itself is Aham. It is the implied import, meaning of I am. So, that is the truth about our own real nature. I or Aham is the primal expression of that truth, which is non-dual awareness. If one inquires into its original movement, the ego subsides and the tranquil, absolute self, devoid of all attributes, alone remains. Know this as your true self and remain still. One who has had a glimpse of the truth must rigorously refuse to initiate new streams of thoughts and learn to ignore the involuntary habit of thinking. These are all very, very important. We have to just read them. Vritti Vismaranam. Know this as your true self and remain still. See, many places in talks, Bhagavan gives out jewels. Certain places, Bhagavan says, stillness is the secret. Just be still. Mauna. One who has had a glimpse of the truth must rigorously refuse to initiate new streams of thoughts. So something will generate new streams of thoughts. And learn to ignore the involuntary habit of thinking. That is the problem. We can call it as the Kashaya Sthiti. See, our spiritual progress we can measure in periods when we wake up from sleep or in between sleep. Very clearly we can see. If our meditation is fruitful, when you wake up, suppose in midnight you wake up, the mind, if it is very meditative, you can recognize that it has become very fruitful. your sadhana has become very fruitful. Generally, when people wake up morning, the thoughts will be too much. All the stress, strain, depression, everything will come out that moment. So when you wake up, that sandhisthana, when you wake up, that interval period, if the mind is doing japa, if it is meditating, then be happy that your sadhana, the seeding is sprouting. The sadhana is becoming fruitful. That is the sign. Suppose you wake up in the midnight and you sit in your own bed in meditation or doing japa, then that is Bhagavad Anugraha. It is Ishvara Kripa. So, learn to remain still, learn to keep the mind still, and in that stillness, the I will disappear. And the true nature of the self will reveal as the self-effulgent pure consciousness. Total subsidence of the aham vritti is realization. After this, Acharya and disciples started their journey. Now Sureswaracharya is there. He is a very well-known scholar in the north. Very well-known mighty scholar. Great Vaidika, Shrautajnani. And he started his Vedanta Shravana Jnana with Acharya now. So he is also there in the group. They started slowly coming down to the south. From Narmada they started. From Kaladi, Sankaracharya went to Narmada. And from Narmada he went to Kashi. From Kashi he went to Himalayas. From Himalayas he came down to Prayaga. It is also near Kashi. From Prayaga he again went to Mahishmati on the bank of Narmada. And from Narmada slowly coming down again to south. They started moving towards the southern region. They crossed the Narmada and reached the land of Chalukyas in Maharashtra, the ancient city of Vidarbha. At that time it was divided into eastern and western Chalukya. The inhabitants of the land were honest and righteous. Acharya visited the place of pilgrimage in the region along with the disciples and taught Vedanta to those who approached him with such requests. No one dared with Acharya. No one dared to debate with Acharya, for they had heard about the surrender of Mandana Mishra, the great Mimamsa exponent. Acharya reached Panchavati, Nasik, on the bank of Godavari. In ancient times here, the place was known as Dandakaranya. Actually from there, down south it is all Dandakaranya. Above that is the Aryavarta. And from there, towards south, if you do research in Valmiki Ramana, you will find no city, no town, nothing. All forests only. Dandakaranya, it was only two group of people were there. Great Maharshis, Mahatapasvis, full of ashrams. That thing we can feel very proud about South India. Full of rishis. Everywhere there were. The moment Bhagavan Rama enters Dandakaranya, he looks Pravishyatu Maharanyam Dandakaranyam Ramo Dadarsha Durdharsha Tapasashrama Mandalam. Everywhere there were clusters of ashrama. And they were all radiant with Brahmya, Lakshmiya, Sushobhitam. With Brahma Tejas. Everywhere it was radiant. So the south was full of rishis and Rakshasas. Both. Now also it is almost same only. All great acharyas and Vedic learning, Shastra Jnana, it's all there in South. And the other group also very powerfully still continuing powerfully. So both are there. We can be happy that we are the descendants of rishis. All rishis here. So agatasmayatodishtam yam desham munirabravit ayam panchavati deshaha saumya pushpitakananaha. This is a beautiful shloka. Before coming to Nasik, Panchavati, Bhagavan Rama meets Agastya. Agastya tells Rama, go to Panchavati and stay there. Before going there, Agastya gives Rama very powerful weapons because he knows it is going to be useful. So that Vaishnava Chapa, everything was given. And said, go and stay in Panchavati. So the moment he comes to Panchavati and looks at Panchavati, he says, the way he calls Lakshmana, his brother, he calls him Saumya. Oh, gentle one. See, we have arrived at the spot which the Munirabravid, the sage Agastya has told us to stay here. So we have arrived there. Agatasmayatodishtam yam desham munirabravit ayam panchavati deshaha. This is Panchavati desha. Pushpitakananaha. The whole forest is full of flowers. The whole forest is fragrant. This is Ramayana Shloka. So Bhagavad Pada also reaches there. During that period, there were disturbances and clashes between small principalities and groups due to political unrest and religious differences in the place. Acharya visited the Triambakeshwara temple where there was a Jyotirlingam. Nasik, there is Triambakeshwara. Now, it is called Nasik because the Nasa was cut there. Nose. Whose nose? Shurpanaka. Yes. That is why it is called Nasika. So, there is a Jyotirlinga, Triambakeshwara. There are 12 Jyotirlingas, Dvadasha Jyotirlinga. In Tamil Nadu, we have which Jyotirlinga? Rameshwara. Andhra Pradesh, Srisailam. Mallikarjuna. Now we are going to enter there. So Mallikarjuna Kshetra is a Jyotirlinga, Rameshwaram is a Jyotirlinga, and Triambakeshwara in Maharashtra. Maharashtra, they have almost 3 Jyotirlingas. 5 Jyotirlingas. That is why it is called Maharashtra. Bhima Shankara, Triambakeshwara. I think it is Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra collectively 5 Jyotirlinga. So, like that. So here, the group of yogis walked on and reached Pandharpur and all the Tirtha Kshetras, see, the Panduranga, Vithala. All bhaktas, devotees, they have sung Abhanga. Abhanga means that which cannot be broken, uninterrupted contemplation on Bhagavan. The first Abhanga was sung by Bhagavad Pada. Mahayogapite tate bhimaratyaha varam pundarikaya datum munindrehi samagatya tishtantam anandakandam parabrahmalingam bhaje pandurangam. Almost all the saints, they sang their abhangas almost in the same Bhujanga Prayata, like that, Chanda. Many of the songs. Because Bhagavad Pada started that tradition. He is standing in the Mahayoga Pitha on the bank of Bhiman river to give boon to Pundarika And all the sages are there around him. Ananda Kandam. He is the Ananda Kanda. Samagatya Tishtandam Ananda Kanda Parabrahma Lingam. His head will look like a linga, Shivalinga. And he is Parabrahma Linga, a sign of Brahman. You look at him, it is Brahmavastu. Bhaje Pandurangam. From here, Acharya had a worship of many deities in those areas. And Bhima Shankara, he had that Jyotirlinga Kshetra Darshana, very deep forest. From there, they proceeded towards Andhra Pradesh, Mallikarjuna Kshetra. We had a very long session of Yogataravali and Śivānandalahari in Mallikarjuna Kshetra last year. Very deep forest. Very great yogis, yoginis like Akka Mahadevi, they stayed there and did their tapasya. You can go to that Akka Mahadevi cave in Srisailam. Deep inside the cave you have to go. One becomes breathless. In that cave she stayed and did tapasya, they say. So many Mahatmas have stayed in Srisailam. And Bhagavad Pada loved that place so much. There the Shivalinga is called Mallikarjuna Mahadeva. There he wrote Śivānandalahari. There is a place. Now we can go and see. Kanchi Math has built a small temple there. Sringeri also has a temple there. I think recently Sannidhanam Sringeri Acharya Vidushekhar Bharati Mahaswami went there. And last time we met him in Chennai, Swami told that they are requesting him so much to come to Srisailam to open that temple or something like that. So after that I think he went there, and there was recently I think he was there. So the spot where Śivānandalahari was written, actually Mahapariva Kanchi Paramacharya, when he was in Srisailam, he loved that place so much. From Kurnool, he stayed for a long period in Kurnool. They walked through the forest. They walked. Many who went with them, they have spoken this to me, that they went through the forest to Srisailam by walk. Now we went by vehicle. Then itself it is so deep forest, and almost 4-5 hours you have to go through thick forest by vehicle. So they have walked to Srisailam, and there one night, it was one devotee, Narayanan, in Chennai. After a satsang I was returning, he came to me and told this story. He said, we all were there to witness that scene. So Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Swami, who was called Mahapariva or Paramacharya, so he was staying there with his devotees. They were all with him. So this Narayanan said, morning about 4 o'clock or so, Pariva just woke us up, and we all woke up, and he started walking, and we followed, and he walked, went down to that forest, to the spot where there was a big banyan tree. There is a peculiar banyan tree, pipal tree. It is the Vatavriksha. Various kinds are there. This is also called Kallal Maram. The tree is grown inside a mountain. You can go and see that. Behind that there is a waterfall. So the scenic beauty is also so meditative there. So there he went and said, this is the spot where Bhagavad Pada wrote Śivānandalahari. So now I will sit here to meditate. Do not disturb me, do not allow devotees to throng around. Till I wake up by myself, keep devotees in a distance. Saying this, it was almost morning 4:30 or so. So he sat there, and that Narayana Iyer said, we were looking at him whole day, was so still, like a bronze statue. He has seen Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi also. He was with Bhagavan also in his childhood. So he said, that picture was like, a sculpture is there, he can make a murti, a shila, a shilpa. He can create an idol of Dakshinamurti with that. Like that he was sitting still till evening, almost 5:30. Till then there was no movement. And then they built a temple there. So that is the spot where Bhagavad Pada wrote Śivānandalahari. Sandhyārambha vijrumbhitam Shruti shirasthanantaradhishtitam Saprema bhramarabhiramam Asakrit sadvasana shobhitam Bhogindrabharanam samasta sumanah pujyam gunavishkritam Seve Shri Giri Mallikarjuna Mahalingam Shivalingitam. Many places in Śivānandalahari, Bhagavad Pada refers to Mallikarjuna Mahalingam Shivalingitam. It's the Mallikarjuna Mahalinga. Because Arjuna did tapas here, and Ishvara gave him Pashupatastra from here. Hearing about Acharya's arrival, followers of different sects came to debate with him. Of course, it was forest. And so many tribes were there. Pashupata, Virachara, Shaiva, Shakta, Kapalika and Maheshwara, these were some common sects referred. The Kapalikas followed diabolic and wicked practices. That group was there. See, about 75 or so, more than that, sects were there during Sankaracharya's time. Now also you see, what all kind of teachers, what all spiritual practices are there. So many groups are there, so many sects are there. So many type of religion is there. Not generally Hinduism, Islam or Christianity. Inside that, so many groups. So many kind of practices. Some people say Agori. In Kashi, when we were there, some of our group of devotees, they went in search of Agoris. I don't know. Param Guru irkarenge. They all went in search of Agoris. And sometimes, many kind of people are there. Their own religion, their own spiritual practices. Everything is good. When Swami Vivekananda was in America, one person said, I have a peculiar religion. Very ridiculous things he spoke to Swamiji and said, all these kind of practices are my religion. Swamiji said, you come to India, you will get followers. He said, how can I get followers? Already you have so much religion there. That is why I say, some will sit there, some will be there who do not fit anywhere. So they will follow you. So everyone will get somebody. Nobody is left out. Any kind of teacher, any kind of leader can get some followers. So, sometimes people, they themselves think they are incarnation. Once in Palakkad, I had a lecture. Before the lecture, one person came to me, looked a little eccentric. He said, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Yes, I know." I knew him. I told his name. His name was Perumal. He said, "No, Naan Kalki Avadavaram." He said, "What to do?" He said, "I am Kalki Avatara. I am the incarnation of Kalki." Okay. So, if he is strong enough to say that, he will get followers. There are people who got followers for such declarations. So, he will also get followers. So many kind of sects, religions were there during, that is why Sankaracharya had to do so much debate, so much arguments, everything he had to do. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi did not do that. He just kept quiet because that was not needed for him. That was not necessary for him. But for Sankaracharya, all kind of arguments, all kind of religious sects, groups, they were coming to him. And the Kapalikas were very diabolic. They were terrible people. They were very violent people also. So those whom they do not accept, that is the easiest religion. Somebody comes to you to argue. There was a very famous religious leader. He will say, "My argument is true. I am saying the truth. I don't want to mention his name." He said, "My teaching is this. You have to accept." And someone will say, I won't accept. And he will argue. He is a very powerful debater. So he will argue. If you are not ready to accept, he will say, somebody will come, some devotees, disciples will come, catch hold of you, take you to the backside and do puja to you. Easiest way of conversion. So, all kind of sects, So, the Kapalikas were very powerful in Srisailam. Even now, you observe all that remnants you will see there. They came as a large group. A mad elephant should not be allowed to approach a tender flower. As Acharya was full of tenderness and compassion, Sureswara, Padmapada and others did not allow the group to meet Acharya. They looked terrible with their shula, with their kapala, narakapala, skull, keeping one hand a big skull and there was the terrible weapon in another hand. With that they came. They themselves confronted the group and outwitted their arguments. The meaningless prattle of the dull-witted Kapalikas, who were ignorant of the Vedas and without any depth of knowledge in their own scriptures, was burned in the fire of knowledge of Sureswara and Padmapada. Within a few days, Acharya's fame spread far and wide. Great scholars and kings came from different places and received Upadesha from Acharya. The lofty principles of Vedanta are to be imparted only to qualified seekers, who alone will be able to understand and practice them. To everyone else, Acharya gave general advice on topics such as the spirit of sacrifice, truth, compassion, peace, sadhanas of devotion, respect for Vedas, control of the senses, steadfastness in one's action, and karma yoga, which are necessary for all laymen as well as rulers. Propagation of the Vedic Dharma disturbed certain sects that had been thriving in non-righteous ways, spreading violence and desire for power. Among them, the Kapalikas were the most shaken by this teaching. So, Krakacha Bhairava, that was their leader. Who was the leader of the Kapalikas? convened a secret meeting and hatched a plot to end Acharya's life. Just kill him. He is a trouble to our sect. We should not allow this religion to grow, this teaching to spread. We should not allow Shankara to propagate his religion, just finish him off. That was Krakaja Bhairava's call. See, this is what they do, no? The whole Tibet, China just massacred the monks. Tibet was completely wiped out of Buddhism and re-educated now. That the new generation are completely rewired. So this is how, when politics becomes irreligious or negatively religious, with the power of weapon they spread religion, or with the power of weapon or ruling power they put down religion. It's very difficult. There is a chance of that happening anywhere, here or in Kerala or in any places. You can see the fire, the spark. It is very dangerous. Easiest way, kill the religious people, kill the spiritual people, kill the Mahatmas. That was the call of Krakaja Bhairava. And for that task, he appointed a person. His very old Bhairava, Ugra Bhairava, his name was Ugra Bhairava. He approaches Sankaracharya to have a debate with him. That we will see tomorrow. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala.